Hello, and welcome to the Career Compass program, which includes online learning sessions, podcasts, videos, webinars, white papers, and whiteboard videos, all specifically designed for NAVFAC. Please check the Career Compass Resource Center, or CCRC, often for updates and new content to support your learning. This content will assist with learning and development within the 20 non-technical competencies outlined in the Workforce Development Strategy. Today's topic is how to navigate a crisis in support of the decisiveness competency. Throughout this video, you will see a paper-pencil icon on some slides indicating a workbook activity. When you see this icon on the top left corner, this means I'll be asking you to write something in your workbook or to refer to your workbook. If possible, download the workbook from the CCRC before continuing with this course. However, if you are not able to, no worries. Just use any piece of paper and write down your thoughts on that. You can always transfer that to the workbook later. In this video, we will discuss three things. 1. The difference between leading versus managing through a crisis. 2. How to lead employees through a crisis. And 3. How to communicate during a crisis. To get the most out of this video, please visit the CCRC for a copy of the workbook that accompanies this video. The objective of this video is to understand how to lead through a crisis by focusing on clear communications and the human aspect of crisis management. Let's get started by focusing on the difference between managing a crisis versus leading through a crisis. Before we get started with this, let's first define managing. Managing involves supervising or overseeing a team or a group of people to achieve a desired result. Now that we know what managing is, let's understand what leadership is. According to Judy Marks, CEO of Otis Elevator, leadership is about the ability to drive results, set the vision and share it, create an environment of success, and remove obstacles. And Kevin Kruse, the NY Times best-selling author, says, leadership is a process of social influence, which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. In other words, leadership is about inspiring and influencing your team. What skills do you think differentiate leaders from managers? Write your thoughts in the workbook on page 3. Please pause the video and resume when you are ready. Here are a few key differentiators between leading and managing. While leading involves building and implementing a strategic vision, managing is more about controlling the outcomes. Leading a team often focuses on the human aspects, while managing can be more focused on the tasks at hand. Leaders are more involved in bringing change within the organization, while managers typically engage in directing their teams to work on the various procedures and tasks. Managers are more focused on the tasks with their own teams, while leaders look to build trust and influence within the entire organization. While there are differences, there are three things which both leaders and managers have in common. 1. Giving teams clarity of the vision. 2. Gathering the required resources to achieve the vision. And 3. Achieving the long-term and short-term goals. So if that's the intersection of managing and leading, where does the human aspect fit in? Every organization has to deal with unexpected circumstances and occurrences that may jeopardize its functioning and plunge it into a crisis. True leaders lead their organization through a crisis by inspiring their teams. Here are a few things leaders focus on while leading their team through crisis. Leaders appreciate their team members and even recognize the smallest of their achievements. They not only get engaged in work with their team, but also provide their teams with personal support whenever required. Leaders are able to balance their workload with other competing priorities by delegating the work amongst the team members. Delegation goes beyond just handing off the job. It includes setting clear expectations. Delegation gives employees necessary opportunities to grow in skill and experience. This shows that trust level about the team is high and responsibilities could be shared. True leaders conduct regular team meetings as needed to build a strong bond which is required to lead through a tough crisis. Now that we understand how leaders are different than managers, let's focus on how to lead employees through a crisis. Have you faced a crisis at work that you had to lead employees through? What do you think are some key behaviors a leader should exhibit during a crisis? Write your reflections and thoughts in your workbook on page 4. Pause the video and resume when you are ready. According to Nancy Cohn, author of the book Forged in Crisis: The Power of Courageous Leadership in Turbulent Times, leaders become real when they practice a few key behaviors that inspire people through difficult times. What are these key behaviors? Leaders acknowledge the reality and are never shy of facing it. They also instill purpose, which is central and enduring to an organization's culture. Finally, leaders manage their emotional intelligence when leading in a crisis. Let's discuss these factors one by one, starting with acknowledging the reality. Leaders don't shy away from acknowledging the reality. They don't run away from the crisis. Leaders tell the truth to their team members. They are honest when sharing information, even if it's to their disadvantage. Leaders listen deeply for what is being said, and also for what is not being said. If they have important or relevant information, they share it immediately with the team. Regular and interactive meetings are always a part of their agenda. Next, let's talk about what it means to instill purpose and trust in the team. In times of crisis, purpose is more important than ever. It inspires employees to move beyond inertia to action. Organizations need employees who are engaged and come to work with a sense of purpose, knowing that what they do matters to others. When employees are engaged in their work, they enjoy what they do and tend to be more productive. Purpose is like the roots of a tree. Strong roots, strong purpose, provide the tree with nourishment, good health, and the ability to sustain itself. If the roots go deep, your tree and its entire corner of the forest will prosper. But if the roots are shallow and starving because you never feed them with purpose, eventually your tree will fall down. And it won't just fall down by itself. It'll take other trees down with it. Another important aspect of leading through the crisis is about managing emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence gives us a cognitive anchor, a framework, and a way of thinking about how we move through the world and interact with other people. This offers us ways to increase our overall effectiveness in a crisis. There are 4 quadrants of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. Self-awareness means I'm aware of what emotions I'm feeling. Self-management means I can manage those emotions, especially in crisis situations. Social awareness is when I'm aware of the emotions of those around me. Finally, social management is when I can influence those around me and help manage the team emotions. To lead in a crisis, it's important to focus on all 4 quadrants. Within the 4 domains, there are 12 competencies or skills to building emotional intelligence. Let's review them by each domain. Emotional self-awareness is the competency in the self-awareness domain. This is the ability to understand your own emotions and their effects on your performance. Next are the competencies associated with self-management. These are emotional balance, adaptability, achievement orientation, and positive outlook. Those who are emotionally balanced find methods to manage their triggers and impulses, even when they are under stress. Adaptability is the ability to manage change and being successful in new conditions. While managing a crisis, situations are very fluid, and being adaptable will help overcome the crisis. Achievement orientation means meeting and exceeding the set standards of excellence, being open to feedback, and looking for ways to make the process effective and efficient. Positive outlook is important during a crisis. Even if things look bad, there is always something to be positive about, such as a team member who works late to help achieve this mission. What are the competencies associated with social awareness? These include empathy and organizational awareness. Empathy is the building block of social awareness and social management. It is the ability to sense the emotions and understand the perspective according to the point of view of the others. It allows the leaders to communicate without any barriers and relate to their team members. Organizational awareness is the skill to be aware of the emotions and the power relationships in the team. Finally, let's talk about the competencies associated with social management. These include influence, coach and mentor, conflict management, teamwork, and inspirational leadership. Leaders who hold influence can gain support and keep their team engaged in a crisis. Coaching and mentoring is about creating a learning culture in the team. It involves a lot of feedback and supporting each other in the time of crisis. Managing conflict involves helping the team members in tough situations, handling the disagreements, and getting amicable solutions. It makes the team more focused towards the crisis resolution rather than on the conflict. Leaders with the ability to inspire and lead their team from the front get the job done. They are able to create a shared vision and lead the team through the crisis. We've discussed emotional intelligence for individuals. You may wonder if teams can build emotional intelligence. The answer is yes. Let's explore that. To study and identify the elusive group dynamics that characterize high-performing teams in detail, MIT's Human Dynamics Laboratory developed electronic badges which could be worn by the employees. They are able to generate more than 100 data points a minute and work without any hindrance to capture the natural behavior of the various team members. The kind of data points being captured include tone of voice, body language, how much they talk, listen, and interrupt, and many more. MIT employed these batches in 21 organizations over a period of 7 years to measure communication patterns of about 2,500 people over a period of up to 6 weeks. Here are the key findings about teams who are successful. Every member of the team keeps the conversation short and sweet and talks and listens in equal measure. Team members show a lot of energy in their conversations and body language and communicate face to face. The team members are directly connected with each other and not through the team lead only. Not only do the team members connect directly, but they are always carrying out back-channel or side conversations. Team members also go outside the team often for new information. They bring this information back to the team in order to support the efforts to achieve the overall objectives. As we are now aware of how to lead through a crisis, let's focus on how to communicate during the crisis. Despite your best efforts, there's a very good chance that your communication is being perceived and processed in a way you did not intend. Ask yourself 3 questions. What communication method was used? Verbal, nonverbal, text, email, video, or something else? Identify the communication style that was used in this situation and consider if that communication style was appropriate for the audience. How was my communication received and perceived? Stating, "My intention for this meeting, call was X. How did I do?" will provide helpful insight into how others have received and perceived the intended communication. And, what might the other party's story be? Listen and ask questions to understand the perspective of the other party. It's easy to make the other person wrong, saying something like, "What's wrong with you? Why don't you understand what I'm saying?" Yet it's important to remember that the person is a human being with worries that extend outside of work. So approach them with openness and find out where the communication gap occurred by saying something like, "It seems I wasn't clear. Let's start again. What did you understand so I can fill in the blanks for you?" Then listen carefully and address the situation as quickly as possible. It is important to be compassionate and actively non-threatening, especially in a crisis. We've covered many things in this video, including leading versus managing through a crisis, how to lead employees through a crisis, and how to communicate during a crisis. As we wrap up, remember that the best way of managing a crisis is by focusing on the human aspect and clear communications. Take some time after this course to think about your leadership style and what you can do to prepare yourself to lead the next crisis you may face. How will you lead your employees through the crisis? Use the space provided on page 9 of your workbook to record your thoughts. Thank you for participating today. Be sure to follow the instructions on this page to submit your self-certification for this course. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that you gleaned useful and helpful information. If you have any questions, please contact your civilian training advocate or contact HQ's BD17 at NAVFAC HQ Total Force Development at Navy.mil.